Alright, today is going to be my mini review and maiden flight of the Techone SU-29 3D plane. This is technically an indoor 3D plane, but I was planning on using it as a very low wind outdoor plane. In terms of the maiden flight, that's not really working out. You can see if you look at the trees, they're moving. So we got about a 5-mile-an-hour wind, which could be better, but I'm gonna just give it a shot anyway. So in terms of the plane itself is EPP, which makes it allegedly quite resistant against crashes, and it also is cheap. The body, I think, is 50 bucks, and I got it with the electronics kit, which itself is another 50 bucks. So if I was to like horribly crash this thing, I could dig all the parts out of it and replace it for 50 bucks. It's supposed to take half an hour to build, but it took me more like 2 or 3 hours. Part of that was my inexperience and just taking my time. Because it's the first time I used slow tack glue. And I think it worked out pretty well. There's a few things I want to point out which could be issues. One is that the tail section, I'm pretty sure that the slot on it was cut wrong, because it definitely was not centered in the tail. It was off to the right. So I tried to do as much research as possible. The instructions showed it centered. I looked at other people's SU-29 pictures online, and in theirs it was centered. And common sense tells me it's centered, because the instruction says to put a ruler along the fuselage, and unless it's centered, that's not going to work out. So what I did, and didn't do it perfect, is I moved it. What I should have done when I moved it is two things that I didn't do. One is I should have used a ruler, and I just eyeballed it. And the other is I should have accounted for maybe a millimeter or so of, slop. And I didn't do that. So the result is the tail is not perfectly centered. And to actually fix that would be pretty difficult, probably not worth trying. So best case outcome of that is nothing, which is unlikely. The worst case, which is also unlikely, is that the plane is completely unflyable and untrimmable. The realistic case is probably somewhere in the middle, where I'll probably have to trim that out a little bit with some rudder, and the flight won't be quite as perfect as it could be, but I'll still be able to make some use out of it. In terms of my flying skills, this is a 3D plane, which primarily means that it has enough power and weight ratio to hover in place. It can also supposed to be able to do all the other tricks because of its large control surfaces and big throws. Trivial things like flying upside down, but also knife edges, rolling harriers, you name it. It's supposed to be able to do it. So my skills right now is in the simulator, I can do a hover at advanced beginner level. I can hold the hover for maybe 3-4 minutes, which on a perfectly trimmed plane with no wind in the simulator. So I don't know how that's going to translate to real life with this plane, but it's a start. And then a lot of the other moves, like knife edges, upside down flights, flips, Cuban 8s, I've done those with my other plane that has less, on paper, less acrobatic capability than this one. So I think this is the right time and the right plane. I'm not quite ready for a 3D plane that if I crash it, like an Edge 540 or something. If I crash that, it's toast and lots of money and sadness. Where this one, if I crash it, it might not even get hurt. And even if it gets destroyed, like I said, 49 bucks and another hour or so of my time, because I think I could build it faster now. And we're up and running with the second one. So any anything else about the build before I get started? Yeah, I put these in backwards because I didn't see these little slots here. So they're not really where they're recommended to be. But I don't really see any binding, so I'm not going to worry about it. These carbon fiber things are really cool in general, these little things. Although those screws themselves can be hard to put in at the end. Because you have to use a tiny little sharp Phillips screwdriver. And I think I stabbed my fingers at least once. No blood though. Oh yeah, the tail here, that cut that they made wasn't that good. So the tail, when it's flush, it's bent just a little bit, which ironically kind of counters my other mistake. Not ironically, coincidentally. Anyway. Oh yeah, I also didn't do the landing gear because I read online that the landing gear is worthless, and I'm going to be exclusively flying in grass. I went with, like I said, I went with all the default hardware, which is the 2204 motor, 10 amp speed control. You have to provide your own receiver, so I just used Spectrum 4-channel, which is fine. 5-gram plastic servos. The back servo at first didn't sound like the others, but it seems to be okay. Everything else about the plane that I can think of at the moment is pretty good. You know, we'll see how it goes. So I think the next step is to just put it in the air and hope that the wind doesn't blow it around too much, and we'll just kind of see how she performs. All right, let's see how this thing flies. Holy crap. Okay. It's not bad, actually. It's definitely being taken by the wind, but man, it flies so slow. So I'm just doing some basic circles here. Oh my gosh, look how slow it flies. It's actually really not bad. Trying to decide if it needs trim or how much trim it needs. It's hard to tell in the wind. Very little throttle is needed to keep it running, which is pretty awesome. I'm at half right now. I'm just 100% aileron right now. It turns on a dime. This thing's awesome. I love it. Yeah, wind is definitely affecting it. Oh geez, let's turn it back around. I like how it flies. Look at that. Ah, it's so cool. All right. I just decided to bring it down because it was getting too close to the fence. Up we go again. It's such a small flying area. Oh, it needs so little throttle. That's awesome. Time expired. Awesome. All right, let's take to the skies and see where things are at. If it works like last time, she'll fly real easy at first. Let's find out. Oh yeah, no problems. Oh, yes, yes, yes. She's a nice flyer. I like this plane. The wind right now is pretty good. There's slight breezes here and there, but for the most part, it's not bad. Okay, we're 20 feet up. Here's inverted. Oh. Okay. Takes a little getting used to, but it's really not bad. Much more comfortable than my other plane, that's for sure. Okay. Let's see how well she rolls. Okay, that was a full roll at the slower speed. We can try it at a higher speed. So that's at a higher speed. Get myself a little bit more height. Okay, let's try knife edge. Oh yeah, much easier than my other plane. Much easier. Okay, let's try the opposite direction. Oh. Okay, well, a little wobbly. But part of that is me. Okay, what else? We can try a hover. So let's try a hover like right here. Okay. Gotta work on that. Let's see how well she loops. I'm assuming it'll loop really well. Yep, no problems there. Okay, so it does everything. We can work on the hover some more. Get it up. Get it up. Don't be afraid. There you go. So that was only a few seconds, but I'm going to keep working on it. I'm being pretty conservative because of being my third flight. In the simulator, I can run the hover a little longer. At my best, probably about 4 minutes. But with a different plane and with much less on the line, so. Ah, this thing flies great. Q and 8. Oh yeah, try a Harrier. Look at that Harrier. Nice. I haven't tried a snap turn yet. Of course, it's perfect, easy, just like everything with this plane. Oh, I like this plane. I may be in love actually with this plane. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is provide me cheap and low risk access to learning how to do this stuff. There you go. Oh, I'm like overreacting a little bit and maybe not giving it enough power. There you go. Come on, come on, come on, get over there. That's pretty good. Huh. Oh, 1 minute to go. I'm really enjoying this though. All right, let's bring it in for landing. What a great plane. Highly recommended. Like I said, I didn't even really build it perfectly, but it doesn't care. Still flies nicely.